Okay, so this is going to be for slides 8, 9, and 10. On slide 8, it talks about preparing a slide using some water. They call this a wet slide. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that. We'll try to get the camera here, but what I have here is a small piece of graph paper, and you can kind of see the picture up on the screen, or in this video up on the right side. So I've already cut one out, and it is 10 by 10, okay? That is the measurement. So I just took my ruler and up against a piece of graph paper, I measured out 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. As you can see, it is 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters, okay? All right, now what's kind of cool about this is the graph paper is evenly, as you can see on the picture, evenly, each of the lines are 1 millimeter. So we should count 10 across and 10 down. Now, the cutting isn't all that great, but it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, it's probably more like, let's do this one a little bit smaller. That one's more like 11. Regardless, we're close. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So best we can, we get it to be about 10 by 10. Okay, so then in order to view it under the microscope, because we're going to take a look at like how much can we see under the 4 objective, how much of it do we see under the 10 objective, how much do we see under the 40 objective, okay? So we're going to look at it under the microscope. So here's what we do. I'm going to place this on top of the slide, okay? I then take a little pipette and I put 1 drop of water, right? And if you can see, there's that drop of water on there. I am then going to take a cover slip and carefully drop it on top of the paper. And then what it kind of does is it puts the water over the paper. You can see that. You can see the little water lines on the one that I took a picture of. This one actually turned out a little bit better. Okay, the water kind of moves it around. If you get any water on the sides of the cover slip, you just kind of take a little bit of paper towel and you just kind of dry that off. But I don't see any water, so I think we're good. Okay, so that's what you're seeing on your screen, and that's how you prepare that slide. So then on slide 10, when we observe it under a microscope, I did do that already, and I'll show you what that looks like. I started with the 4 objective. And then remember, you also have the eyepiece, which is 10. So that's actually 40 times magnified. And then with the 10, it's 100 times magnified. And then the 40 is 400 magnified. I want you to type out some observations of what you see. And then an estimated width. So just going across, you're going to count how many of these lines do you see under the microscope. Remember, you're only going across. Okay, so I will show you that picture. First, starting with the 4. Okay, so that's 4 times. And remember, you're just counting across. So if we count from here to here to here, all the way to the end, about how many millimeters. Each space is a millimeter. So going from one of these dark spots to another dark spot, these are like ink blots, that's a millimeter, okay? So how many do you see? You're gonna type that into the third column, estimated width for this view. You're gonna type how many millimeters it goes across. Okay, for the 10 view, as you can see, we zoom in a little bit closer. How many millimeters across do you see now? Is it the same? Is it more or is it less? But type in the second row how many millimeters you're counting across. All right, and then finally, the closest view, there's the 40. You might have to turn your head a little bit, but you're really counting. There's one of the ink blots, and we see the ink blot shows up a little bit bigger. And there's the edge of another ink blot, but you have some space over here, so just kind of estimate. It says estimated width, so you're kind of estimating how many millimeters you think it is across. And you're going to put that into the third column. Type that out. Make sure you type in observations. So again, for observations, there is the 4. You could pause this and type out your observations. Here's the 10. You could pause this and type out your observations. And then finally, the 40. Type out your observations. When you're done with slide 10, go ahead and answer these 2 questions on slide 11. We'll be sharing those out near the end of class. So for slide 11, it's asking you to compare to the paper without the microscope. So there's that picture of the paper without the microscope. What can you see compared to what you couldn't see, what you can't see right now? But when you looked at it under the microscope, what could you see? So comparing both what you can see on this paper versus what you can't see when you look at it under a microscope, what are some additional things you might be able to see and what are some things you don't see? So basically you're comparing what you see under a microscope and then what we saw, just right here with no microscope. And then what is an estimated field of view? What you can see through the lens when you use each of the 3 objective lenses, low, medium, and high. All right, and we will not be doing slide 12, so we are just going to be focusing on slides 8 through 11.